3 hours of talks in Alaska between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin failed to yield any breakthrough in ending the Russia-Ukraine war. All eyes are now on Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's meeting with Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on Monday. Now, Putin reportedly demanded during his talks with Donald Trump that Ukrainian forces completely withdraw from the eastern Donetsk region, offering to freeze front lines in exchange. But Zelensky has rejected this demand, stressing on a meeting with his Russian counterpart. As peace efforts continue, reports also say European leaders have been invited to attend the Trump-Zelensky meeting. Ukraine's European allies have until now demanded a ceasefire deal, but Trump has now said that he agrees with Putin that the best way to end the war is to go directly to a peace deal without a prior ceasefire. Putin appears in agreement with Donald Trump as well after what he calls a very useful meeting. The Russian president has said that he respects U.S. call for a cessation of combat activities and would like to resolve all issues peacefully.
Хочу сразу отметить, что визит был своевременным и весьма полезным. Мы поговорили практически по всем направлениям нашего взаимодействия, но прежде всего, конечно, говорили о возможном разрешении украинского кризиса на справедливой основе. И, конечно, у нас была возможность, что мы и сделали, поговорить о генезисе, о причинах этого кризиса. И именно устранение этих первопричин должно быть положено в основу урегулирования.
I think they don't want to raise any anticipation about the outcome. But you know, President Trump did say this is 10 on 10, so it was a very good meeting. Obviously, he is enthusiastic about the meeting. And President Putin also said very significantly that an understanding has been reached. So in my view, of course, we were all expecting that maybe ceasefire will be announced. But I think that President Putin has, laid down the conditions that there is no point having a ceasefire if the root causes are not addressed. Otherwise, again, hostilities will break out.
An unusually warm welcome in Alaska for a man behind Europe's bloodiest war in decades. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin's 3-hour summit ended with smiles, handshakes, even praise, but no peace deal. Just the promise of another round, this time with Ukraine's President Zelensky in Washington, D.C. So is this the beginning of real negotiations or just a grand performance for Trump's Nobel tree?
An unusually warm welcome in an icy Alaska for a US adversary behind Europe's biggest war since 1945. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin's much-awaited bilateral. Episode 2 of Trump's peace talks looked very different. Putin arrived to smiles, handshakes, and red carpets. And even an choreographed flypast. A US B-2 bomber flew overhead. Not war games, but a show of might nonetheless. A 3-hour meeting followed while the world waited with bated breath. The result? Trump called the meeting a 10 on 10, a productive dialogue with many points agreed.
We had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
But the most important point, still unresolved. No peace deal, no end to the war.
There's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate.
President Putin, will you stop killing civilians?
President Putin, while deflecting questions on targeting civilians in Ukraine, sang praises for Trump, calling him kind, trustworthy, and said that the war would have never started if Trump were president in 22.
Today
we hear President Trump saying that if he were president, there would be no war. I think that would have been the case. I confirm that because President Trump and I have established a strong, practical and trusting relationship.
У нас с президентом Трампом наладился очень хороший.
And I have every reason to believe that by moving down this path, we can end the conflict in Ukraine, and the sooner the
У
better.
меня есть все основания полагать, что, двигаясь по этому пути, мы можем дойти и чем быстрее, тем лучше.
Thank you.
He insisted that he sincerely wants to end the war, warning Kiev not to sabotage talks and hope that an agreement could pave the way to peace. I have always considered the Ukrainian nation and have said it multiple times that brave nation, however strange it may sound in these conditions, we have the same roots and everything that's happening is a tragedy for us and a terrible wound. Therefore, the country is sincerely interested in putting an end to it. I would like to hope that the agreement that we have reached together will help us bring closure to that goal and pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. Trump, in turn, passed the ball to Zelensky.
I think are appropriate, and I'll of course call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them.
Trump followed up on his promise within hours, briefing Zelensky and other leaders of the EU. And soon came the big announcement from the Ukrainian president that he will travel to Washington on Monday to discuss the prospect of a peace deal with President Trump. A meeting the world hopes will be a lot more cordial than the last time the two came face to face in the White House in March earlier this year.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War III.
So will these talks finally lead into a real path to ending Europe's longest war in decades? Or is all of this simply theater, bringing Russia back on the geopolitical stage and Trump closer to his Nobel dream? The world awaits. Bureau Report, India Today.